Welcome back. We finished our risotto. Today we were making a risotto with asparagus and white mushrooms and baby bell mushrooms, so we just finished that. If you can see this, we used 1 cup of arborio rice, which is a short grain rice, and it came out to all of this because it can absorb a lot of liquid. We used about 3 1/4 cup of vegetable broth.
It smells fantastic.
It smells so good. So now we just have to add the finishing touches. So the finishing touches are Parmesan cheese, salt and pepper, and some flat leaf parsley for a little freshness. So Tina, if you just want to add the Parmesan cheese. Just chop this parsley. And as you're adding it, if you just kind of want to fold it in together. So the arborio rice is already really super creamy, but we're going to add to that a little bit with the Parmesan. And if you can get freshly grated, that would be even better. It would be delicious. Okay. So parsley is typically used in a lot of Italian cooking, a lot of pasta dishes and things like that. So
the minty flavor really brightens it up.
Yeah, it's so good and just adds like a whole nother level of freshness to it. And so right now we're going to use about 1/4 cup of the parsley. When I'm chopping herbs, I sort of like to roll them together, kind of scrunch them together, and it kind of makes it easier when you're going through just to chop. And if you want, you could reserve some of this extra, so when you're serving it, you could just sprinkle a little bit on top just for a nice garnish. I know they do that in restaurants a lot. Not really to add flavor, just to kind of make it look very fresh. So, oh my gosh, this looks so good. And you know, usually when people make a risotto dish, it's used as a side dish. When you go to restaurants, it's the side, but this is so hearty, especially with the mushrooms, and you're definitely getting the fat from the Parmesan cheese and the butter that we used before, and also a little bit from the rice. And I mean, this is a main dish in my opinion.
Especially being a vegetarian, you have to make your vegetables your whole dish, so it really adds a lot of flavor.
Okay, so we're gonna use the parsley, which smells so fragrant. So good. So we're just going to sprinkle that in and then just mix it in just as you're mixing the cheese. And in terms of salt and pepper, we had some salt from the vegetable broth and from the cheese, so we're not going to use that much. Maybe a teaspoon or 1/2 teaspoon. Just kind of fold that in. And then maybe a teaspoon of black pepper. And that's pretty much it. It's a pretty easy meal to make. I mean, the risotto cooks for about 20 to 25 minutes. It just needs to absorb the vegetable broth and the vegetables, and that's really it. So it looks delicious, and let's try this. It looks so good. It's so creamy. It's so creamy.
Really good.
And the funny thing about it is that most of the cream is from the starch. So it tastes like this extremely fatty dish, but it's really all that fat is from the Parmesan cheese and the butter. So there we go. But with a great meal, you also need a great dessert. So Tina, why don't you tell us about these cookies?
Today we're going to be making pecan crescent cookies, so I'd like to show you a little bit of our ingredients. 1 cup finely chopped pecans. These pecans aren't extremely finely chopped, but you can kind of pick out the big ones when you're going through the batter so that they don't interfere when you're making your crescents. 1 cup of regular sugar, 2 sticks of butter. I prefer unsalted butter, really just a little bit more pure the taste. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, really adds a lot of flavor, and 2 cups of all-purpose baking flour. I don't really like the whole wheat when I'm baking with it, so I really just stick to unbleached baking flour. So that's it for our ingredients, and I'd like to add a little bit about variations that you can use. Over winter break, I made the same batter, and I also I made it into just balls, and then I sprinkled peppermint on top, and these were like peppermint snowballs, so they were so cute.
That's delicious.
Another variation you can do with this batter is add almond extract instead of vanilla extract. The smell is fantastic. You can smell it while you're making the batter, and you can smell it once the cookies come out of the oven. Fantastic. So definitely try that too, because your cookies will turn out fantastic.
Yum, that sounds great. So when we get back, Tina is going to show us how to make the batter for her Pecan Crescent cookies. See you in a minute.